Ever since I was around 20, I struggled with digestive issues of all kinds, psoriasis, depression, and joint pain, among other issues. And when I was around 24, I was hospitalized for psychosis. I had been going through a very stressful time where my boyfriend was sick and I was helping take care of him. And I had been going to doctors and therapists for years. You know, ever since I was 20, I was trying to figure out why was I having these stomach problems? Why was I being kept awake at night with joint pain? Why was my skin breaking out in this rash constantly? And inevitably, every doctor would just tell me that it was genetic, or they couldn't do anything about it, or they would prescribe me something that was supposed to suppress the symptoms, and it never really worked. You know, I've been on countless prescriptions that have done little to nothing to help improve my problems. And I just remember feeling, you know, from the time I was about 20, that I felt like a 70 or 80-year-old woman. I was not feeling vibrant. I felt down all the time. And I just was in pain. I felt sick. I was constantly sick. It was terrible. It was nothing like you're supposed to feel in your early 20s. And it all really came to a head when I was hospitalized at 24. I basically just snapped. It had all become too much. You know, my stress levels were too high, my nutrients too low, my sunlight too low. You know, so many factors went into it. And I just lost it, basically. It started with insomnia and high levels of anxiety. And it built up to the psychosis in the course of about a week. And I spent 2 weeks in the hospital, basically not knowing who I was, who my parents were, or where I was. I had built up delusions in my mind that I had murdered people and stolen cars and was holding people hostage, and it was truly insane. And of course they immediately put me on at least 3, maybe 4 drugs in the hospital, something that was supposed to help my insomnia, which didn't work. An antipsychotic, and later an anticonvulsant. I think I was on, in the hospital, Rosarem, Zyprexa, and Lamictal. I don't remember if I was on anything else. And yeah, I came out after about 2 weeks. And I spent about a year cycling through different medications, various antipsychotics, various anti-anxiety medications, and sleeping pills. You know, my prescription list at the pharmacy, it probably has 30 different meds on it. And, you know, nothing made me sleep soundly, nothing really made me better. And eventually I think I started coming out of the anxiety and depression and everything naturally a little bit. I had focused more on getting exercise and sunlight and vitamin D supplements, some more natural things, but it still wasn't quite doing the job. And I wrote a blog post about my experience around June or July of 2018, and I said that I hoped to not have to take these medications forever, that I was afraid of what was going to happen, that I might have another psychotic break. And I didn't know, because basically my doctors all told me that, Sarah, you have schizophreniform and it might develop into schizophrenia, and this low dose of medication, what they called a low dose, you know, I was on for a long time I was on 60 milligrams of Geodon and 125 of Lamictal, and that's what they call a low dose. That low dose was going to prevent me from having another psychotic break, and that it was genetic. So I wrote this blog post, and a couple people came out of the woodworks and said, hey, you've got to check out Kelly Brogan. She's got this book called A Mind of Your Own. Listen to her interview on Joe Rogan. And The first thing I read of hers was an article about the birth control pill, which I had been reading a little bit more about and realized that it might have come into play in some of my health problems, and had stopped taking it about a month before I found out about Kelly Brogan. And I read this article of hers where she talks about how taking birth control messes up your microbiome, it makes you more likely to be prescribed an antidepressant, all kinds of things, and the dominoes started to fall, the pieces started to come together, and I immediately just devoured every video I could of hers online, and I ordered her book right away and just plowed through it, and I implemented the practices immediately because it all just clicked, it made sense. I mean, my gut had been telling me this stuff for years. My gut had been telling me, you need to eat a whole foods natural diet, you need to not take this birth control pill, you need to get sleep, but every doctor I would talk to, basically society kept telling me, no, that's not true, you can get by on 6 hours of sleep, organic doesn't matter, the birth control pill is good for you and it will prevent cancer. Every time I tried to listen to my intuition and talk to someone about it, they would just dismiss everything. And then finally here was someone with those credentials saying, you're absolutely right, all of this matters more than anything, and you can heal yourself and you're not actually broken. And that to me was just like the tiny push that I needed to just change everything. And so I implemented the diet. I started meditating from the beginning and praying, and I just had this sense that I didn't need medication and that it was in fact holding me back and not making me better. So the whole time I just had this idea that it was possible. And ever since I heard from Kelly Brogan that I was turned on to this belief that I could heal. I did not need medication to be well and to be better than I had been in years. And so I went through the process. I did everything she said. I stuck to the diet. The only thing I cheated on was 1 cup of green tea, and that was it. And I was very reluctant to do the coffee enemas, but I did implement those too. And I had already been tapering my meds at the reluctance of my doctor for a month or so when I started this program, and so I just continued that. And I mean, long story short, I'm here about 9 months later, and I am completely medication free for about a week, and my health has improved dramatically. My digestion is so much better. I don't get sick anymore. And if I do, it's always because I ate something that I'm not supposed to eat. And my skin looks better. I just feel happier from going off the birth control pill. I could feel just a sense of gratitude and awe at life creep in that hadn't been there ever, I don't think. And I just feel so much more connected and grateful than I ever have, even though, objectively speaking, a lot of the circumstances of my life haven't changed as much. I just feel like so much more is possible. I am so much more powerful than I ever expected. I have the capacity to heal myself and to help others heal, and none of that would have been possible without Kelly Brogan. And now I've been empowered to explore other healing information that is helping me enhance what I've already done through her program. But I read Mind of Your Own. I consumed every interview Dr. Brogan has available, and I did a session with one of the Vital Mind coaches, Allie, at a time when I felt like I just wasn't making progress and felt stuck, and she really helped me kick me into gear. And I mean, this is life-changing stuff. You don't have to be sick or mentally ill if you don't want to, and that's the most amazing gift anyone could ever give. And Kelly Brogan is here spreading that message, so definitely take this stuff seriously. You can empower yourself to heal your life, and they can be so much better than you ever imagined were possible. So I'm 27 now, just had my birthday. I was happy about that for the first time in years, because I actually felt like a young person again instead of feeling like a 70 or 80-year-old. And I'm just excited to see what's in front of me. So thank you for listening.